Okay, what I'm going to do today is actually use the Thermomix to make a carrot cake from start to finish. Beauty of the Thermomix is you can actually grind spices, blend together wet ingredients and give us a finished product just using one bowl. The ingredients I have are all very, very simple. I've got some whole cinnamon sticks and nutmeg, which is going to be the first stage of the process to grind the spices, with some dry ginger powder. Then using sort of organic carrots. I've got oil here, which is actually vegetable oil, but you can use any non-flavoured oil. Free-range organic eggs, creme fraiche, bicarb, salt, wholemeal flour and brown sugar. So I'm going to start with the nutmeg. I'm going to start those nice and high. There it goes. A little bit noisy. Cinnamon. Okay, so what you can see now is after a few seconds, you've got that wonderful spice mix, which is so fresh. My own advice with this is always to grind spices freshly. Spices actually lose their sort of aromatic qualities after a couple of days. I'm going to then add the stem ginger powder to this. Okay, you can actually use stem ginger if you require, but we're using dry ginger into there. Now, next stage, got the spice mixture. We're actually going to put the carrots straight in as well. So not too quick, I mean just put them in one at a time. Again, just using one bowl. Okay, so the carrots are now ground in the machine. Okay. At this stage, what I prefer to do is actually add my wet ingredients. Wet ingredients being the oil, the eggs, and the creme fraiche. All in. So it's really, really straightforward. Grind your spices, add your carrots, wet ingredients, dry ingredients. Now I could give you a really complicated chefy recipe. You don't need it with this. It's just a fantastic way of doing it. And now I'm making a carrot cake today, but you could actually do exactly the same thing with banana bread. You can actually make, you know, scones, shortbread, anything in pretty much the same way. That's going into there. Going to give it a quick pulse. And then just slowly add the oil. In that goes. Okay, so I've added all the wet ingredients to this. Just going to take off the side of the bowl so you can see it there. Okay, so that's the wet ingredients. Now, at this point, you then add the dry goodies. Really, really straightforward. Just very slowly, a little bit at a time. You're going to add the salt, bicarb, so there. Going to gradually add the sugar. Now I'm not using the machine at full power at the moment because I want to retain some of the texture of the carrot. That's quite important. So just gradually adding the sugar into there. This should take you a minute or two. And then the flour, again, good quality wholemeal flour. This is an organic wholemeal flour that we're using. You see there's some texture in there as well, which is nice for the cake. So start to finish, this is probably 2 to 3 minutes to make a cake. You've made very little washing up, one machine, one point in the kitchen. Make sure everything's in there. On, give it a little pulse, maybe 20 seconds. Okay. And that is your finished cake mix. Okay. I've made enough here for a couple of cakes. Loaf tins, we've just lined them with some greaseproof paper. Just get the mixture into there. And at that point, they'll go into a preheated oven. Right, next stage of the carrot cake is making a cream cheese ice cream. Now, we've used the machine very simply to grind spices and mix a cake together. There's another cracking little feature which actually allows you to use a timer and actually heat it. Ice cream, notoriously difficult. You have it on the stove, it boils over. Do you get it to the right temperature? You know, pasteurization, sterilising the mixture. That's all quite tricky. Not so with the Thermomix. First things first, I've got here whole fat milk, which goes in. Okay, and egg yolks. Okay, so the egg yolks and the milk go into the machine. Now, this would be when you would be standing over a stove, stirring it 80 degrees. Really simple. Going to set the timer for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 80 degrees, speed 10. Next stage, really simple, is again add the rest of the ingredients. So that mixture is now hot, it's 80 degrees. To this we're going to add the glucose, which has been heated up to make it slightly more liquid, easier to work with. Glucose goes into there. We're going to add the cream. The cream cheese, full fat cream cheese, straight into there. And then the sugar as well. So all of these goodies go in now, and we're actually going to cook it out for 4 minutes at 80 degrees. Again, using your timer. Speed 10 again. Okay, at this point, the ice cream is now cooked through. Next stage is to cool it down as quickly as possible. It's really important that you've got dairy produce here, you've got egg yolks, get it cooled down. We've got here ice. Stir this, cool it down as quickly as you possibly can, and then you just churn it in a conventional ice cream machine. Okay, last stage in the process is actually making a carrot tuile. Thermomix again used to make a powder out of glucose. This is a glucose-based tuile, which is sugar and glucose. We boil it, allow it to set, so you can see that, very hard. We've then also got the dried carrot. Now the dried carrot, grated organic carrots, dry them. We actually use a dehydrator, but just a low heat in the oven until they're dry, brittle. You've got the flavour there as well. Thermomix is going to work hard now. Okay. The sugar and glucose mixture is into the machine. What I'm going to do now is make it into a very fine powder. It's almost going to be like icing sugar. Now what you will see is you've gone from rock hard caramel to a powder. When you've got the fine powder, you can see that only 10 seconds. So full speed, 10 seconds, fine powder. We're then going to add the carrot into here as well. That should just break down really quickly. So once you've got your basics, as in your sugar tuile base and your dried carrot, it's then 15 seconds to make the tuile maximum. That's your carrot tuile base. Okay, cool. Now, You can make any shape you like. We're actually using a little template there. You can make them any shape you like. You can just sprinkle this on a sort of non-stick tray or a piece of greaseproof paper. I've made quite a nice little template there to give us a rectangle. That goes back into the oven about 150 degrees. That will then melt. You take it off, allow it to cool, keep it in an airtight box for 2 to 3 days. Okay, now ready to sort of finish the final dish. The carrot tuiles there, you can see that. Okay, so that's going to give you a texture, and really what I'm looking to do here is replicate the flavours of a carrot cake. Now, I'm going to do a very simple dish today, which is just involving the cake, the cream cheese ice cream, which you've seen on the tuile. You know, in the restaurant, again, you can make a carrot puree, which you do sweet carrot puree, toffee carrots. You can do many, many different elements to it. But I'm just going to show you the 3 basic components which give you the crunch, the flavour and the texture of a carrot cake. I'm going to portion up the cake now. I'm going to take a nice slice of it, straight down the middle. When I cut this open, you'll be able to pick up it. You get the texture in there, you can see the texture of the carrot. So with that, you can actually smell the spices because I've ground them fresh today, but making the cake, you can smell the nutmeg, okay? You can smell the cinnamon coming through, fantastic. Now this cake is actually quite moist. If you want to spice it up or sort of give it another flavour, you could put like a sort of cinnamon glaze over the top of it. I'm not going to, I'm just going to retain the carrot flavour here, which will just give you beautiful aromatic flavour and texture. That will now go onto the plate. Okay, now I'm going to finish the dish. This is actually at room temperature. It's no problem at all with actually heating this up. Ice cream, set nicely. Beautiful scoop of ice cream, and the tuile, we're away. Okay, so that's the finished carrot cake, cream cheese ice cream, carrot tuile, start to finish in the Thermomix.